Hello, welcome, and this is Peter Kafuluma, and today I want to take you through the essential basics of Photoshop. It doesn't matter if you have a CS6 version of Photoshop or CC 2017 or 2018, 2019, 2020, because most of the things we are going to go through remain the same and work the same through most of the versions of Photoshop. This is going to be an absolute beginner tutorial for Photoshop, and I'm going to try to make it as much simple as possible for anyone who has never used Photoshop before. At first sight, it looks intimidating when you look at the Photoshop interface, but it's really a powerful and simple software to use, and what you can do with it can make you a pro in a short time if you master these beginner basics. So let us dive into what you are going to learn in this beginner series. Alright, so firstly we are going to look at the interface. Photoshop does a lot of things, so we'll learn about the interface and different workspaces in Photoshop. Then we will look at common essential tools. There are quite a number of tools in Photoshop, but we'll look at the essential ones, the commonly used tools. Then we'll also look at images and shapes. We will look at how to import in images and how to manipulate them with our tools together with shapes. Then we'll also look at text and effects, how to add text and effects to our work in Photoshop. And then we'll also look at layers, how to work with layers. Welcome to Photoshop. So the first time you open Photoshop, this is the first screen you will see. Mine has images here. These are my recent files because I've been using Photoshop before. So let me also first insert in some weird letters here so that also mine gets blank. So it will look plain like this. So what we need on this screen is this button right here which says create new. So click on it. And when you click on it, it will pop up a window like this. Before we come here, let me first close this. And in case you're running an old version of Photoshop and you don't see anything like this, just come up here on File, click on it and click on New. It will pop up the same window. So here on this window, we have different options up here: photo, print, web, mobile, film and video. So these are templates which come with Photoshop. And these templates have different document sizes inside them. These are also document templates, but our interest in this series is this side right here. Now this side is where we create our own custom templates, where we put in our own values and we create our own presets from scratch. Now I'm going to take you through from the top to the bottom as I'm inserting different values and as I'm explaining what everything does. Now up here is where we put our template name. So let me name mine Photoshop. Okay, now here we have width and height. Before we insert in any value here, let's come here. We have measurements and they are in millimeters. Now click on it. We have pixels in inches. We have different measurements here, but I'm going to select pixels because most screen resolutions are measured in pixels. For example, mobile screens, video screens. So let's use pixels for now. And you see the value has changed here. So here, let me insert in the width 1000 and in the height, let me insert 1000. I want something kind of like a square, so I'll use the same dimensions in width and height. Now we have resolution here. We have a value of 300 in our resolution. Now this is really a high quality value and you use it in case you want really a crisp output in your work. You use 300. This is where you can zoom in an image and it doesn't get pixelated, so you have to use really a high value. But we also have 150 kind of medium resolution and we have 72, the lower one. So for this tutorial, let me go with something medium, not high and not so low. So below that resolution we have color mode. Now color mode also has different options: bitmap, grayscale, RGB and CYMK, but we're going to use RGB for this tutorial. And RGB stands for digital screens. When you're working for something you're going to display, maybe for web, for screens actually. And CYMK, this one works for something which you're going to print out later. You're going to take to a machine and you print it out, maybe a banner or a poster or a flyer, you're going to print it out. And most people use RGB and CYMK. So let's leave that for now here, and let me select RGB. And we have 8-bit here, we have other bits here. Now let's use 8-bit, but I have a tutorial in length and details about Photoshop document sizing and resolution, what you really need when opening up a new document, because most people use high dynamic range, high quality document setups, which at times they don't really need, and they end up slowing down their machine performance, especially when they are rendering or exporting it out. So I have a tutorial and I will drop it in the link below. So let's click on create and create our document. So this is the main Photoshop interface, and as you can see, it's made up of small icons. You can call them tools. You can see this side, all these are icons or tools. Even on the top, different tools and icons all the way this side. And there are also small lines, you can call them lines or borders, which divide our interface into small portions, which you can call windows or small sections, but let me call them windows. And there are windows of different sizes, like these ones, there is this one, there is these ones, there is the big one in the center, this side. They are all different windows of different sizes, and I'm going to talk about what each of this window is all about, and we shall go through and more in details about each of these windows as we move forward with this tutorial. But for now, let me start with the middle, the biggest window. This is our artboard area or artboard window. This is where our magic happens from, and this is where we draw, importing our files and edit them, adding effects and everything. And right this side is the tools bar or the tools bar window, and you can see all these are tools, and on the top is the properties window. Now this properties window, this window is connected to the tools, and as you navigate the tools, the properties window keeps changing because each tool has its own properties. So this is the tools bar and this is the properties window. Now this side, it also acts as a properties window, though most cases it works after doing something on our artboard. Maybe you edit something and you want to undo it or redo it, or you did a mistake and you want to remove it. You come here and click, this is the history, and you can delete what you don't want, or maybe you undo anything you did by mistake. And below it, it's the properties window. Maybe you drew something, maybe a rectangle, and you want to change its color, you just come into its properties right here. And there are other icons which are not here, or tools which you can add down here, as we shall see as we go forward. Now this side we have the adjustments window, the libraries. Now adjustments, it has effects, different effects, which I don't want to click because they'll add in layers in my window and I don't want any layer right now. So, and below it is the layers window, the channels, the paths. But the layers window, we shall explore more into details also about it. That's all about our interface, and let's move forward and talk about more about these tools. And as we're talking about these tools, we shall explore in detail more about these other windows. So let's start with the top tool, that is the move tool. So this is the move tool, and the first thing I want to do is I want to first remove these videos which pop up every time I navigate around these tools. You know, for the purposes of this video, I feel they are distracting, and let me just unmute them, remove them for now. So in case you feel the same way, just come up here on edit, click on edit, go down to preferences, general, click on general, and then look for tools, click on that, and then there are options in tools, and look for use rich tooltips and uncheck that. Okay, and click on OK. So all those videos are gone. That's a quick tip I wanted to show you. Then there is also another tip I forgot to show you, and it's you can customize your workspace the way you want it to look. In case you don't want the Now the tools here this side, in case you don't want the color this side, you can move everything around. All you need to do is to click on it and drag it around. Whatever you want to move, in case you feel the colors are far, you can move them inside. You can bring the layers inside. You can even move the document tab itself and snap it in the center. You can move everything around. Nothing is permanent. You can customize this workspace as you wish. So in case you did this by mistake and your workspace is disorganized, no worries, you can reset it to how it was before. So just come to this icon right here and click on Reset Essentials. Now I'll move this document tab for purpose in case you happen to move things around and after resetting it stays here. This one won't be reset to default. You just need to drag it, click on it and drag it right back. And if it brings a blue boundary, you release and it will snap right back into the document tab right over here. Okay, that was also another quick tip I wanted to show you. Now the move tool moves things around, but right now we have nothing on our workspace. We only have one layer which is actually locked. It has a padlock, as you can see here. So to move this background right now, you can't move it. So you need to first unlock this layer. So click on it once and it will unlock. You see the padlock has disappeared. So come back here. Now you are able to drag this white screen around. So let me snap it right back. Okay, or you can hold down Ctrl+Z to undo what you've done. Now for the purposes of this tutorial, I don't want to bore you with move around blank things. I don't want to go through all these tools with just simple things in Photoshop. I want to import in some things we can use as we're studying. Okay, so let me import in an image. So to import in an image in Photoshop, all you have to do is to go up here in File, click on File. There are different options. There is Open. Let's try this Open one. Click on it and it will open up a window on your computer where you have your files. Then click whatever file you want to import in. Let me click this one and click on Open. Now this is what happens. When I click on it, it will open the image in a new document tab. You see, now we have two tabs. We have this one and we have this one. This is the one we created before, but we have used Open. So Open opens the image in another tab. So this works in case you want to edit this image separately. But for this case, I don't want to open a new document file. So let me close that. Now to import in images in the very document you're using, you have to go to File. Instead of using Open, just go down here to Place Linked and click on that. Then select your image and then click on Place. That's how you import in documents in your workspace. So you can click on this stick to release it. You can see it has these boundaries. So click on this stick and it will just transform right into your workspace. So after bringing in your image in the document, you see down here in our layers panel, it has created its own layer. There is this layer which we had before, and then there is this image. So most of the things you will be importing in, they will create their own layers, new layers every time you bring in something or draw something new. But now we are on the move tool, so let's continue with our move tool. So the move tool moves things around, and if you click on this image, you can move it around. So another thing I wanted to show you is the transform. The transform, you can bring it up. It doesn't matter which tool you are in, but let me bring it up as we're studying the move tool. So to bring up the transform, you need to hold down Ctrl+T or Command T on a Mac, and it will bring up transform controls as you can see them. So if I move out of the transform controls, you see the scene keeps on changing, meaning you can do different things. Now this helps you to manipulate around the properties of the image or layer, properties like scale or rotation. So if I have this icon with two signs, one facing down and one facing on the left, and I click and drag, I'll be able to rotate my image, as you can see. Now if I have another sign, maybe like that one pointing in the diagonal, and I click and drag outside, I'll be able to scale up my image. Now depending on the Photoshop version you're running, you might not be able to scale up this proportionally like me, so you have to hold down Shift to be able to scale it up proportionally. You understand? In case you have a different version of Photoshop, but for my version, I can scale it up without holding down Shift proportionally. So you can do so many things with this, but for the purposes of this tutorial, let me just show you that. For now, let me click on the move tool to release that. Okay, so this was our move tool, and before we go to our next tool, if you click on the move tool, it has different other options, two options. It has the move tool and the artboard tool, but the move tool is the most used one. The artboard tool, I won't talk about it in this tutorial. So, and the shortcut for the move tool, in case you want to bring it up fast, it's a V on a keyboard, as you can see here. All right, so let's move on our next tool, and it's the rectangular marquee tool. Now this is a selection tool, and if you also click on it and hold, it has other options. It has the rectangular marquee tool, it has the elliptical tool, single row and single column. All these are selection tools, and if you select any part on our layer and drag, let me drag from the neck to the knees, and I release, I can select any part of this layer and I can manipulate it in any way. So if I want to move this selected part, maybe put it on the side, all I have to do is, or maybe duplicate it, you have to hold down Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. By then it will create a new layer of this image you've selected. And if you come down here and I turn off the visibility of this old layer, you can see the selected part which I selected from the neck to the knees. So that's the selection tool. So all these work the same. Even though you select the elliptical tool and select, and you hold down Ctrl C, Ctrl V, it will also, and let me turn off the visibility, you see it will just select different portions of your selection. And let me first delete this, I don't need them, and bring back our image. So that's our selection tool. So our next tool is also a selection tool, and if I click on it, actually to bring up these options, you have to right click it to bring up the different options in your tools. So it has also different options: lasso tool, polygon tool. Now let me select one of them and let me draw something here. The lasso tool can help you to select while drawing, and I do the same thing, Ctrl C, Ctrl V to duplicate this. You can see it also works the same purpose. Let me delete also this. And the next tool is also a selection tool, and it's called the quick selection tool, and we also have an option of the magic wand tool. So let me use the quick selection quickly, and if I move it around on our layer, you see I can select only the black cloth quickly, and if I do the same thing, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, you can see it will isolate out the cloth alone. So let me also delete this. Our next tool is a crop tool, and really its purpose is to crop our workspace. It doesn't work specifically on a single layer, but it works generally on our artboard, entire artboard. And if I move it around and maybe hold down enter, it will crop our document to that size I've selected. So let me hold down Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z to undo that. Okay, that is our crop tool. Now I don't want to go in order as we're looking at our tools from top to bottom. Let me first jump around to the main tools we usually use. So let me go to this tool here. It's the horizontal type tool, and click on it. Now this tool is a text tool, and what it does, it types text, or it inserts text in our work. So if I click anywhere, and I type in any word. Let me type in first class. First class. Okay, so let me select our move tool and move it below here, right here. Now that's our text tool. Its purpose is to write text. Now I told you about the other tools this side, which can manipulate what you're already doing here. So let me bring up the character tool window right over here. So if to bring up the character window, because we don't have it right here, just go to window and click on character. This is how you can import in new tools. In case there is something you want and you don't have it here, just go to window, and everything here, you just click on it, check on it, and it will pop up into your workspace. Okay, so this is our character. It has a letter A, it's labeled letter A. So if you click on it, you can manipulate this text in any way you want. You can change its color. Let me give it a blue. Let me select a blue and then click on OK. You see, you can change its color. Then you can even expand its size. Let me give it a big size like 30. All right, let me move it back in the center. Okay, so that's it. You can do so many things. I don't want to go into details with the characters and the text, but that's a quick tip how you can add text in your work. Now the next tool I want to talk about is this tool right here, which is the rectangle tool. And if I right click on it, it has other options inside it, but let me just use the rectangle tool to illustrate its purpose. So if I select the rectangle tool and come in our workspace and I click and drag outside, it will create a rectangle. But as you can see, as I was creating this rectangle, this window right here popped out. Now I run Photoshop CC 2019. Most of these things are automatic, but if you run an older version of Photoshop, these things might not pop up straight away as you're working. But for me, for my sake, it popped out. Now you can change its color here because our color resembles the background color. Let me give it a red color. All right, so you can change so many things here as you wish. You can change its radius, anything you want to change, you can do it from here, from its properties. All right, or you can even change its color from up here. From up here, you can do the same thing as I was doing in this side of the window. You can click on it and maybe give it a black, and it will change to black. Okay, now let me move it below. Now let me move this rectangle below the first class because it's covering our word. So to do that, just come to layers and just drag the rectangle below first class, and first class will come right on the top. All right, so in case you want to do, maybe you want to create something and maybe a shape and we don't have it here. Maybe you want to do a triangle because we don't have a triangle here. Let me introduce you to another tool, which is this tool, the pen tool. Now to use the pen tool, just click on it and come in your workspace and click anywhere to create the triangle. You can click, if you know how the triangle is, you can click according to its shape and the triangle will appear. Okay, you can also change its color by coming down here to the shape. Since it's now a shape, you've created a shape, you can only change its properties under shape. So you come back down here to shape and go to fill, maybe add in a yellow and make it yellow. Now there is a problem, and you see when I change the yellow, also our first rectangle changed. Now the reason why it changed is because I drew the triangle using the pen tool on the rectangle layer. I didn't change to a new layer. Now let me first undo that. Command Z, Ctrl Z to undo that, and let me do Ctrl Z. Actually, let me show you even this history tool right here. You can move around and go back, step back, Okay, let's go back to that step. Okay, now this is the advantage of layers. Whenever you're doing something in Photoshop, you have to make sure that you separate layers. Otherwise, it will be hard for you to manipulate things which are on the same layer. So if you want to use the pen tool, the best way to use the pen tool if you want to bring in a new shape which you don't have is to come right down here. You see this icon down here? This icon says create new layer, so click on that and it will bring up a new empty layer. So let me bring it up on top, let me drag it on top. So it's a good practice to use the pen tool on a new layer because it will separate it from any selected layer maybe you selected by mistake. So if I click again on our pen tool and I draw our triangle like that, actually it will be simple plain lines because last time it immediately took the black color because I was drawing it in another layer which had already its properties. That's why it took the black color. But right now I'm drawing it in a new complete layer, so you can add properties yourself. All you have to do is come up here on shape and click on it, and it will add a fill on this layer. Right now the fill is white, so if I click here on shape, you can see the fill is white, that's why you can't see anything. But if I change it and give it maybe a red, you can see its color, it's red. So this is how you can create a new shape which you don't have in Photoshop in an easy way using the pen tool, this pen tool. Actually, you can even create more complex and complicated shapes using the pen tool. Let me show you a quick example. So let's try to add another new layer. Let's click on create new layer here and it will bring up a new layer here, a quick one. So let me use the pen tool to draw something like a fish because it has curves. So you can click while dragging. You can click and drag. You see how I'm dragging? It will make your points curved instead of lines. So you can, let me do a quick one like a fish. I said a fish. So let me give it a rough shape. So you can click and drag. All right. Okay, let's add in shape and it will give it a white background. Let me click on shape here and change its fill. A fish is usually blackish, so let me give it that color. So you can draw complex shapes using the pen tool. Right now I did a rough sketch, but you can draw triangles, you can draw complex, really complex shapes using the pen tool. So that's the pen tool, and let me delete this for now, the fish. So there are quite a number of tools right here, as you can see, and we can't go through all of them in this tutorial. I wanted to keep it short, but these are the main tools which are usually used for beginners, and some others work for more intermediate and advanced work, so we won't go through them now. There is this tool, it's the hand tool. It helps you to pan around or to move around your workspace in case you've zoomed in. So let's try to zoom in and I show you how this works. So hold down Ctrl plus, or you can hold down alternate and middle mouse click to zoom in and out. So if in case you zoom in and you can't see all your workspace at once, you can use this hand tool to move around. You can see, to navigate around. So the simplest shortcut in case you are maybe in another tool and you're already zoomed in and you want to pan around or move around your workspace, just hold down space and drag around. You'll be able to drag around. This is really helpful because scrolling up and down and scrolling side by side, it's really stressful. So if you want to pan around with the hand tool, just do that. So let me zoom back right in. So let us talk about layers and effects a little bit. So let me first expand this window right here for layers. In case you don't need these windows, just go to window and look for learn and click on it, it will disappear. So let me expand the layers panel or the layers window. So layers contain different items or images we have in our workspace, and each of these right here is on its own layer. And if you see these kind of like icons, they turn on the visibility of every layer, so you can toggle on and off the visibility of each layer. So another thing, in this layer you can look whatever layer you don't want to move. In case maybe I want to drag out this triangle and by mistake I move the lady in the black dress, let me press down Ctrl Z. I can lock the lady layer in case I don't want to move it. So all you have to do is click on this padlock icon, and this layer, the lady layer, will be locked automatically. Okay, so if you try to move it, it won't move. So that's also a good trick. Oops, I moved something by mistake. Let me hold down Ctrl Z to move it back. So we can also turn off the opacity. You see here, it's the opacity and the layers. Maybe I want to see the lady's leg, but it's covered by the rectangle. So you come and click on the rectangle here, and you go to opacity and turn down its opacity, and you can be able to see the lady's cut. You see? So that's how you can manipulate different things under layers. You can also maybe change the opacity, change and add in a little effects, blending options under layers. Maybe if I want to give this triangle a gradient, you can come and select it and double click on this layer, and it will open up different blending options. Maybe I want to change its color. There is color overlay. I click on it. Or maybe if I want to change its gradient, I just check the gradient, and you can see to give it a yellow, and you can go inside the gradient and change the colors. Maybe you want to change the yellow color. Maybe you want to change the yellow. Click on it here and give it any color you want. Click OK. So I'm trying to show you many different things you can do under layers here. You can change effects, you can add effects, you can even change the blending mode, turn off the visibility of some of these and leave only the lady. And let me unlock it. So let me select it. In case I want to add more advanced effects, maybe I want to make it black and white, all you have to do is to select it under layers and come up here, maybe image adjustments, and select black and white. It will automatically turn black and white before you even tweak these guys here. So let's click OK. And also another thing with layers, in case you want to rename your shapes, maybe you have so many shapes which have the same names, you can just come here. Maybe this shape one, it's our triangle. You want to name it triangle, just double click on it and write in whatever name you want. Let me give it a triangle. So you can rename them under layers so that you can be able to identify them. It's a good thing to organize your work when you're working with editing softwares. So there are quite a number of things, many things this amazing software can do. And for the sake of this tutorial, I didn't want to dig deep in so many complex things. We shall see them as we go forward. I just wanted to give you a jump start of how you can use this amazing software. I'm doing more video series in depth about each of these tools, what it does, the windows, different things, the layers panel. But for now, allow me to stop here. Remember to ask anything in the comments below in case you are stuck anywhere in Photoshop. Stay blessed.